Hello. We're finally doing this thing. I am so excited to be doing this. And I'm even more appreciative of the fact that I'm able to do this. I've wanted to start a podcast for years. I knew that I wanted to start something, I just didn't know what. I didn't know if it was a social media presence or this place where I could reflect on my ideas or something in physical art like painting or writing or drawing. My sister kind of takes that piece of the cake. But anyways, I knew that I wanted to do something creative, and I found a lot of joy in theatrics and singing and putting on a show for people, entertainment. But I also love the idea of being active and getting into sports and playing sports as I grew up and that side of it. So growing up, there was really this struggle of I'm on two very opposite ends of the spectrum, theatrics and activities like sports. And it was really hard for me to find this kind of medium of what I really loved. I loved two things that were so different. I guess that kind of leads me to what I wanted to talk about on the first episode. There was a lot of pressure and struggle with what did I want the first episode to be about? Did I want it to be this kind of introductory, what's Maddie's story? What's she been through? Her ins and outs? Could it be that? Or could it be just kind of like this ideology kind of episode? I didn't know. To be honest with you, most of the podcast idea has been done. The name has been figured out, the ideas that I want to talk about, even the people that I want to have on this show have all been figured out. The part that I have been putting off is actually filming it. And that's because I had this idea that I wanted this podcast and I wanted it to be so damn near perfect that I stressed myself almost out of wanting to do a podcast. And almost didn't go through with this whole idea because of this idea that I just wanted it to be perfect, right? Brings me into what I wanted to talk about today in this pressure among our society that, especially in your early 20s, that you need to have it all figured out, right? You go to high school, you're expected to go straight into college. We're talking 4 years of high school, you get a summer break of learning, and then you got to start all over. Can someone make that make sense for me? I don't get that. After college, you have all these different options, right? You could go to grad school. You could, shoot for your doctorate, your master's, your PhD. You could go into the trades. You could just start working. You could go to cosmetology school. There's so many options, but there's this expectation that especially in your 20s, you need to have all of it figured out. And everyone says, oh no, you have time. You don't got to figure it out. So why do I feel this immense pressure in the back of my skull for me to have all this figured out? Why is there this feeling that I have to figure it out when everyone's telling me that I don't? That's the question at hand. Why am I feeling like I have to figure it out when all the adults in my life are telling me, no, you got time? Personally, I think that the whole you have to have it all figured out thing is a load of bullshit. That's how I feel about feeling like you have to have it all figured out. It's just so crazy how our identities are often shaped by expectations and survival and validation. And I think a lot of that comes with this feeling that you have to have it all figured out. You're striving to validate yourself, your parents, your boss, your friends, your family. I think we all forget sometimes that when we don't have it all figured out, right? We're freaking out because everything in the world is moving and we just want it to stop. And I feel like sometimes when we are in this crazy whirlwind that is life, we forget that we are allowed to change and become one with the motion of life and become fluid. I think it's super easy to get caught up in this idea that once we are on track, we have to stay on track. And let me explain, because to say that I'm against that is going against the narrative, and I can understand how that would be scary to hear, especially coming from me, but let me explain. So when you're on track with something, right, whether it's a job or your mental health or, a food diet plan, or you get the point I'm trying to make. When you are on track with something, once you go off track, you go towards something else. You're going towards something else. So if you're on track with your job and you don't do an assignment that's due at the end of the week, you are now on track to getting yelled at by your boss or getting spoken to or this or that. Whereas if you had just done the assignment, you would have been on track towards praise or a promotion or something of the sort. And I feel like when we're on track, sometimes we lose sight of other opportunities. And I'm not saying like go off the rails, go off track, quit your job, do social, like that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that when we're on track sometimes with the motion that life heads towards, it can be really difficult to see other opportunities, and that can be just room for change and growth when we are so dialed in and focused on one thing, if that makes sense. On top of that, on top of life, like especially in your early 20s, like you are just trying to figure out who you are and how to live. There's no handbook to your 20s. There's no handbook to anything. That's really the point I'm trying to make here. While you're trying to balance all of these exterior parts of life, nobody talks about how disorienting figuring out who you truly are is. Like, nobody talks about it. Everyone talks about how difficult figuring it all out is, and life is, and paying bills, and everyone talks about how hard that is. That's the focal point. Don't throw it away, but push it to the side for a second, and let's just talk about how, did I say disorienting earlier? I kind of meant dissociating, but I also kind of mean disorienting. How dissociating becoming yourself is. Figuring out who you are is one of the hardest things that personally, and I'm still doing it, I have ever done. And I went away to try to figure that out. I cannot imagine how hard that must be without the help that I had. Nobody talks about how hard it can be just trying to figure yourself out, So now that we are kind of talking about self-identity, and I kind of want to touch on this idea that I've had in my head of becoming who you need to be in order to be accepted. Does that make sense? You need to become in order to be accepted societally. I just want to talk about, just for a second, who I had to become in order to be. So as somebody who is mentally ill, and I haven't touched on that at all on this episode, on this podcast. Those who know me know a little bit about my story. There's a lot to it. And as somebody who is diagnosed bipolar 2, it took a lot for me to adapt to societal standards. And I'm not saying that I shouldn't have. I'm just saying it took a lot. And while I was trying to figure out who I was at the same time trying to figure out how to fit in to what society wanted me to be. So I'm trying to figure out who I want to be, but I'm also trying to figure out who everyone else wants me to be. And that's just a whole load of crazy, just think about that for a second. You're trying to figure out who you want to be, and then you're trying to juggle who everyone else wants you to be. And those could be two completely different things. I didn't know at the time. It took a lot to get to a point where I was accepted socially and societally. Is that a word? I mean, I went away. I had to go away, get the treatment that I needed in order to rework my brain to fit the societal standard. And it was needed, nevertheless. I mean, I was spiraling out of control, but I think there's definitely a role that the mentally ill are expected to play in order to fit in. And I think that's kind of sad at the end of the day. Whether it helps them or not, it's a little bit sad. Sue me, but it's a little, I don't like it, you know? When I was really going through it, really, really, really struggling, I was drinking every single weekend, drinking to get absolutely hammered, making a fool of myself. When I was really going through it, like, mentally not in touch with reality, I really thought that there was like this role that I had to play in order to be liked or loved. And I thought it was this party girl, fuck you, I only care about myself mentality, okay? I thought that's what I needed to establish for myself in order to be loved by people. Why did I think that that superficial bullshit was going to make people like me? I got really into really impulsive behavior. I was doing stuff that was not healthy for my mental. I was doing stuff that was not productive physically. I was damaging my body. I was just being really, really stupid. And this plays into my diagnosis of bipolar 2. There was like this role that I felt I had to play in order to be happy. And that was this, like I said, party girl mentality of I'm going to drown all of what I'm feeling right now in substances instead of dealing with them in hopes that they will go away. I found comfort in that. I found comfort in the chaos that was my life because it was comfortable. And I used that excuse for a very long time. It's comfortable, so that makes it okay. My actions are comfortable, so it makes them okay. I roll my eyes now because that mentality will destroy your life. It will literally take your life and destroy it. This version of myself, I didn't know. I didn't relate to. The person that I truly was didn't know this person who I came off as, this role that I played into because I thought that was gonna get me to my end goal, which was to be loved. It's just so sad. I can't sit here and like tell you that it's not. Honestly, the point where I really hit rock bottom, and I will more than likely talk about this more as we progress with this project. The moment I realized I was performing instead of living was when I had ruined a close friend at the time's graduation party. I ruined it. Now, I'm not going to go into details yet. I will just let you in on a little bit of what happened. I literally was told to keep an eye on my drinking. Maddie, keep it cool, keep it chill. This is a family event. Keep it under control. Got you. Not gonna be a problem. This is where I tell people, like, this is where it clicks for people when I tell them when I'm manic, it's out of touch with reality. Like, that's how bad it is. I literally, like, don't know how I drank that much. Honestly. Like, in a physical aspect, I don't know how I drank that much. To this day, I really don't know how much I had that evening specifically. I had a lot to drink. I completely ruined this graduation party. I was taken home. Friends left to go out. I am still home. I'm passed out. I wake up. I go into a rage spell at this apartment that I'm alone at. I made a lot of really poor choices. Let's just say that. Let's just say that for now. I realized the morning after. When people say, when you hit rock bottom, you hit rock bottom hard. I mean, I hit rock bottom to the point where it should have killed me. It should have killed me. That is how hard I hit the ground. I knew right away, I need help. I need professional help. That is kind of the moment that I realized like that I was putting on this act and performing, and I was down and I was low, and like everything about my energy in that moment was everything that embodied what rock bottom meant. I could just feel it. I could feel my energy was not mine. It felt foreign. The way that I felt foreign. This comes the part of the podcast where I talk about I have a part of self-identity and rediscovery that I personally feel is not talked about a ton. And it's that kind of in-between space, letting go of who you were, but you're not fully who you've become yet. Wow, I keep forgetting that this is a microphone and I need to like hold it to my mouth. So the part that I'm kind of like I feel like nobody talks about is that in between of letting go of who you were, but you're not fully who you've become yet. Sitting with that uncertainty of almost letting all of your past self go to a point where you have no idea who you are in that point in time is so scary. It's so scary. It's almost more comfortable to hold on to the negative and the bad and the detrimental because you know what it is and you're comfortable. You know what it is because you're comfortable with it, familiar with it. Whereas when you let go of that, you don't know what's to come. I hope that makes sense. I almost want to say that that's the whole reason why I started this. The idea that is mocked of being this epiphany moment that is the uncertainty of who you are to become. Holy moly, does that make sense? I really hope what I'm trying to say makes sense. The feeling of like uncertainty and unclarity and mystery of who you are going to become, that feeling is mocked. That's what I want the feeling of like mock to embody, that feeling of uncertainty, because it is so, you can look at it as like it's so scary, right? Or you could look at it as like, holy shit, I get this opportunity to meet someone completely new who I don't even know, and that person is you. You get to fully embody someone completely new with new ideologies and new fascinations and new feelings and new opportunities. Like, how exciting is that? So I encourage those listening to take that feeling of uncertainty when you are going through a time of change and look at that feeling as like excitement for what is to come in the future, I just want to kind of close this episode with there is no rush. There's no rush to have it all figured out. That is something I stand by. There is no rush. You have the rest of your damn life to figure out whatever you need to figure out. And if it's not going to matter in 5 minutes, if it's not going to matter in 5 hours or 5 days or 5 weeks or it's not going to matter. I really also apologize if you can hear children screaming outside. I'm filming this at a weird time where school is getting out and there are children running outside my apartment. So I just want to emphasize that there is no rush and there is no what if I never get there, because what if you do get there? Do you get what I'm trying to say? I also want to say the rush to figure out who you are as a person. My biggest piece of advice is do not tolerate the bullshit. Do not. I stand up for what is right. Stay true to you. All the golden rules and the almost cliche things that people say are so true. Do not tolerate the bullshit of other people. You're gonna be you, and if that's a problem with someone, that's their problem. It's not yours. You've been through too much to put up with too much. Okay? I also want to leave you with this. I am so stable in who I am today. But I am open to the idea of evolution in a sense of I could change. My ideologies could change. My taste in music could change. My taste in food could change. My hate to run could change. I could love that in 5 years. My point is that the room for growth and evolution within yourself is always something that you should embody and be grateful for. I am, like I said at the very beginning of this episode, so happy to be here. And I am so happy that you are here with me. Please be patient and be mindful with me as I figure out how to navigate this whole project. I'm really just trying to do what I love. I'm happy that I get to do that. With that, thank you for listening. See you later.
Ooh, hey, hey. Oh, what we're living in.